real estate has been around for such a long time that there's not any secret sauce that anybody's doing that is going to get you around the fact that you just got to do the work. So be nice to people, add value, and follow up and put in the time.
All right, guys, I'm here with Taylor Doolittle. He is a good friend of mine from Minneapolis and runs a team with your partner, Lars. And I think you have some other people within it.
Yep.
Would love for you to share from, your journey to where you are today and anything you feel that the viewers are going to benefit from. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization.
Sure. So my name's Taylor. I am 33 years old. I have a wife of almost 10 years, a 2-year-old, and one baby on the way. So cranking on all cylinders right now. I've been a licensed real estate agent since August 2017. So just over 5 years now. And I became an agent kind of by accident. I never had anybody in my life that I was close to that was an agent that did it full time. And it wasn't till my wife and I returned back to the United States after being abroad for 2 years that opportunity arose when my brother-in-law, who had been a real estate agent for a couple years, was on a team. He decided to start his own team. And he said, "Hey, Tay, you have experience leading teams at Apple, the previous company I was working for. Like, you would be great at this. You should join me and we should start a team together." I'd never thought about being an agent ever. So there was a lot of unknown in my mind, but I talked to all of my closest friends and family looking for a no. And everyone was like, "Oh, you would totally be great at that." And I just prayed about it a ton. And I was like, "Lord, you're opening doors. I'm going to sprint through them. And if this is not what I'm supposed to do, just slam the door on my face." So ended up getting licensed August 2017. My brother-in-law, Sam, and I were the team. Fast forward to today, we have around 14 or 15 agents on our team, a couple support staff, and are one of the top teams in the state. So it's been a crazy ride over the last 5 years. I feel like this last 5 years spanned 30 years, if you can tell by my gray hair. And it's just been a wild ride. And real estate is something I never thought I would ever do, but now something I could never envision not doing.
Thank you for that. And to give a little more context, you have, I think, a little over a dozen agents. How many units did you guys or families did you guys help last year?
So in 2022, we were right in the mid 300s as a team. With out of that 300 and let's say 350, I was about 66 or 67 of those. But man, what a cool way to impact our community by helping such a large number of families, whether it's them finding a primary residence or working with investors, which we do a lot of that.
Thanks for sharing that. And your personal production, I think you had said, was around 60 plus units, right? So you're still actively working within the business.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I would view myself as a player coach, right? Where I coach the guys on my team. I don't ever tell them to do something that I wouldn't be willing to do myself in order to kind of build my business and get things going. So I've been very fortunate over the past couple years to have really great business owner agents, you being one of those that have challenged me and held me accountable to implement really great systems in my business, to where every year that I sell more homes, it feels easier than the previous year because of systems that I've been able to implement.
Love that. And thanks for the gratitude. I am curious because you said something key within, your journey. Early on in your journey, you said some friends said you would be great at it. What do you think your friends saw in terms of qualities or the values that you held that they assumed that if you did get into business, you would be great at it?
I think just my love of people and my ability to connect with people on a personal level. And real estate is one of those businesses where it's such an interesting business where, hey, a stranger walks into the door if I'm hosting an open house. All right, you have 3 minutes to convince this stranger why you are the best person to help them through the biggest financial decision of their life. And so I think my ability to connect with people, show value, help them maybe lower their shoulders, let their guard down, and trust me very quickly, I think is one of my strongest qualities when it comes to building a business such as real estate.
And it being one of your strongest qualities, one of the questions we usually ask our guests is, what do you believe is your superpower or your secret sauce? Because is it tied to that? And also, you mentioned something where being a sales coach, being in sales and being a coach for your team members, those are two very different skill sets. And maybe you can speak to that as well.
Yeah, I would say my superpower is I feel like I could sit down with anybody and in 5 minutes have some common denominator that we can talk about and connect with. So I really feel like I have the ability to sit down and have a fun conversation with anybody. Put me in a room with anybody, and I'm going to choose to have fun with this person, whether they want to or not. So I feel like that's a good superpower of mine, which I'm super thankful for because it's really fun. And then I would say really the qualities in real estate as pertain like real estate sales and coaching and leading, I would challenge that in a little bit where there's a lot of overlapping qualities where with my clients, I'm leading with value. I'm encouraging them through a stressful process, and I'm clearly setting out a game plan from A to Z. This is how we're going to get you there to help you meet your goal. Same with bringing on a new agent is, hey, listen, I'm here to coach you, encourage you, help lay out a game plan. But at the end of the day, it's my job to show you what's possible. But then it's your job to figure out what success looks like through this process. Whether it's hey, buyer client of mine, I'm not going to tell you which house to buy, but I'm going to inform you on the process and the home and the area so you feel like you can make an informed decision. Same with agents. Hey, I'm not going to be here telling you, cracking the whip, saying that you have to sell houses. I'm just going to say, hey, if that's your goal, this is what you need to do to get there. And I'm going to support you in whatever way I can to help get you there.
Love that. And for some people listening to this, we hear this thing of coming from value or coming from contribution. How do you do that? Like if this is a very new concept for someone to adopt, like, do you lead with questions? Like, walk us through, maybe give us a tip for how you accomplish that.
As pertains to real estate sales?
Sure. Real estate sales, relationship building.
Sure.
You also mentioned that you can sit down with anyone and really have a conversation. Like, that's a skill set. But if someone were to want to build that, how would they be able to, if that's something that you can give insight on?
So yeah, a very real example of how you could use this to build your real estate sales business is, let's say, using open houses for lead generation. Honestly, open houses was the way that I built my business because I didn't go to high school here. I didn't grow up in Minneapolis. I didn't go to college here. I had just been away for 2 years. So I was coming back, really starting fresh with no sphere. And here I am building a sphere-based networking business. I had some pretty big challenges and some really easy excuses to say, oh, this will never work. And open houses is one of the main ways that I built my business. And so you, as someone coming into an open house, oftentimes people will say, hey, please sign in. Hey, are you working with an agent? Hey, and it's really easy for people coming into the house to kind of put their guard up and say, no, I don't need help. Just like if you're going into a retail business and someone says, hey, do you need help? And you're like, no, I know what I'm looking for. Leave me alone. It's just kind of human nature. But in open houses, the way that I would build trust and add value is I would say, hey, Wilson, welcome into the open house. Super thankful that you came to hang out with me today. do a little bit of small talk here or then and say, hey, just so you know, if you're just starting this process, and the most important thing that you can do is to talk to a really awesome lender that's going to advocate for you and really give you all of your options. Would it be
Mm-hmm.
helpful if I introduced you to a really great lender that can help you get clear on what's going to be a wise financial decision for you guys? Oh, yeah,
Totally.
that'd be great. Okay, now for me to deliver that value, what's the best contact information for me to send this to? Right. And so now, boom, now I'm capturing that lead data by giving people value. Another one
Mm-hmm.
would be, hey, I'm curious, how did you find out about this open house? Oh, we found it on Zillow. Awesome. Zillow's great. I mean, those third party websites are great. Just so you know, they're not always the most accurate. They're trying to trick you to click a button so they can sell your information to someone that's paying for it. The best way to get accurate data is being set up directly on the main source of real estate data called the MLS. Would it be helpful to get you access just so you know that the homes you see are actually for sale? Oh, sure. Yeah, that'd be helpful. Perfect. What's the best contact information for me to send this to? Right. So it's knowing what people need, being able to provide that and letting them know the value of that. But in order for me to do that, they need to give me contact information for me to set that up. So for me to be able to add that value by getting them started in a process that has a lot of mystery wrapped around it, if you've never done it before, they start seeing like, oh, this guy like is already being helpful and I don't know him. And then it's very natural for me to then ask the next question. They're like, hey, would it be helpful if this? Would it be helpful if that? People are like, oh, it would be helpful. Yeah, let's do it. So that's really the main way I created my business.
You make it look so obvious and so easy, but as you said, it probably started 5 years ago. You had to host a lot of open houses and get to the point where you got better at your craft. And being better at your craft is truly what you just display, adding value. What can be the most helpful for the client, which I love. Maybe we can talk a little bit about your organization, because at this point you're still obviously serving your clients, but also you're leading a team. And one of those aspects of leading a team is transferring your skill set to your team members. Talk to us about how you lead, maybe a little bit about your organization, anything you feel appropriate to share, someone that's along this journey of team building.
Yeah, so I would say the most important thing if you are creating a team is to find agents that align with your values 100%. Because at the end of the day, we aren't looking, as we build our team, we aren't building it for the sake of building something. And we aren't adding agents for the sake of having a higher agent count. We've
Mm-hmm.
gone through phases where we say, hey, yeah, close enough, come on in. And it ends up maybe not being the right fit for whatever reason. And it's a bad experience for us, selfishly. It's also can be a really poor experience for the agent themselves. So being really, really picky on what your core values are as a team. And I could teach anybody how to write up a purchase agreement, but I can't teach someone how to align with values or have the same values. So I think that's really important for team leaders is getting clear on those values and communicating those values very strongly and clearly to agents that are already on your team and to agents that are considering joining your team. I think that's the most important thing. Then also, I think as you are growing the team, for me personally, I want to be able to walk the walk so people can see that I'm actually putting in the work. So our team is set up in a way where we have 3 team leaders that kind of share the burden of work, but each of us do a lot of business. And so as we're speaking about like, hey, this is what you need to do, the agents are actually seeing us doing those things. So they can see that, hey, proof of concept, it does work. But then also something that's important is kind of our next level of leaders, guys that maybe have a medium amount of experience. We're equipping them and giving them responsibility and having them be on board with helping make team decisions and coaching newer guys. We're obviously compensating them for that as well. So we're giving them ownership and them the ability to help drive that culture as well. I think those are a couple things that for us has been really, really successful and really fun.
Thank you for sharing that. And maybe it's tied to, the next question. If someone's looking and anticipating building a team, whether they're looking for their first agent to join them or maybe their 10th or 20th, maybe it's tied to what you just said, but what's the number one quality you look for in an agent that is the right fit? Is a value alignment? Is there any specificity, maybe a specific value that you look for in this person?
Um, that's a good question. I'd say there's probably not one specific thing. It's really is the entire package. Our team culture is very strong, and we want to make sure that anybody that is coming on the team is adding to the culture and not taking away from it. And really, I'd say the important one of the more important values is we want people with teachable spirits that are coming in that are humble, hungry, and resilient. So they're coming in and saying, I'm willing to do anything. Teach me. You say jump, I say how high. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And when you sit down and talk with those people compared to the next person that's saying, okay, well, what's in it for me? What are you going to give me? How am I going to get benefit out of this? What do you mean your commission structure is like that? Why would I do that? Right? Kind of that questioning spirit. Now you are going to get those more analytical types that are asking clear questions, which is fine. But I think it's pretty easy when you sit down with someone for you to have that gut feeling of, are they going to be a good fit or not?
Mm-hmm. Love that. And what's your best advice for new and or seasoned agents out there right now? The market's a little different for what it was, maybe even half a year ago, a little more than half a year ago. Whether they're on a team or they're independent, what's your word of advice for them?
Well, I would say that every market that we're in, whether it's a seller's market or a buyer's market, there's always going to be an excuse of why you can't do more business, right? I loved our mutual friend, John Brooks down in Florida, posted a hilarious video to me about a month ago. He's like, hey, I'm talking to one of the main investors in the Jacksonville area. What's going to happen in the market in 2023? And the guy says, I don't know. And John says, you heard it here first. Now get back to work. And I love that sentiment, right? And there's always going to be an excuse with new agents entering into the market where they say, well, you know what, Wilson, you don't get it. When you started, things were easier for you because of this. Or Taylor, you don't get it. When you started in 2017, the market was easier because of this, this, and this reason. And honestly, I mean, if you would have started a year ago and you were a buyer's agent, it's impossible to get people houses because there's 50 offers on things. Okay,
Right.
now interest rates are higher and it's difficult for these reasons. There's no getting around the fact that it's a lot of hustle to start a business, any industry. There's no secret sauce. Anybody that you talk to that has built any sort of business that has staying power has put in the work.
Agreed.
And it's not sexy work and there's no secret. And it's funny. It's when people join our team, it's like, I'm sorry, you're going to be disappointed when I tell you what you need to do to build a business. Be nice to people, add value, and follow up, and put in the time. Now, obviously there's actions that you put in there, but real estate has been around for such a long time that there's not any secret sauce that anybody's doing that is going to get you around the fact that you just got to do the work. So for this market, honestly, I'm loving it. And I think it's a lot easier for me to get buyers' houses right now than it has been for the last 4 years. And I'm absolutely loving it. So for a new agent that traditionally, at least in our market, a new agent that is working more with buyers, with interest rates where they're at right now, you have an awesome opportunity to go in and have a couple clients, show them a couple houses and get a house under contract. That's way better than the past couple years where you're just spinning your tires because you can't get anything to stick while more buyers are coming in your pipeline, but it's a waste because you can't get anything any houses for anybody. So I've got nothing but positive feelings towards 2023. And this is a great opportunity for, I think, agents to flex into the investor client space if they haven't already, because there's going to be some opportunities in the coming year to 18 to 24 months, a lot on the investment side, we think. So it's great for people to start going to investor meetups, start educating yourself on what rentals look like, what short-term, medium-term, long-term rentals and things like that. I think that's a great space.
I love what you said about your outlook and your attitude towards this market. And I believe that mind battle, people just start off on the wrong foot when they wake up. They just think about it the wrong way. This market is full of opportunities, what you're suggesting. And I think a lot of people see the negative part of it. So thank you for sharing that. Maybe slightly related to what you had mentioned, could you give us maybe tangible steps for, let's say, an agent starting in a new market as in you kind of migrated to where you are now, you didn't know anyone as you suggested. If you had to restart, what would you do? Like today, tomorrow, like what would you track if there's anything?
I would do the same exact thing that I did to build my business. So for our team, we kind of have 4 main pillars of things that we do. And we try to build business in ways that are free. You're spending your time input to build your business instead of having to spend money for leads or anything like that. That's not sustainable. So 1, open houses. Like I said, you don't even need the listings. Go to your office, whether it's your brokerage or another brokerage. Call agents and say, hey, look, I see you have a new listing in an area and price point that you want to be in. Would it be helpful for you as an agent and your sellers if I hosted an open house for you? I can even use your open house signs if you want. Then that way you're providing value to the agent, the seller, and then you're hoping to find people in it. So that's 1. Cold calling, age old. It's not going away. It's always going to be good. You're going direct to the source, calling people. There's tons of lists and ways that you can do that. Another way that I built my business was getting really involved in a new community. So for me specifically, it was a local gym. For 2 or 3 years, I was diligent of always going to the 9:30 a.m. or noon class. You go and you start meeting people, and it's very easy. Hey, Wilson, I see you here at 9:30 a.m. on a Tuesday. What do you do for work that allows you to be here? Oh, I'm a software programmer and I've got a free schedule. What do you do, Taylor? Oh, I'm a real estate agent and I help people buy and sell and work a lot with investors, and I absolutely love my job. All right, good to meet you. Goodbye. Now I go and add them on Facebook or Instagram or insert any social media because it's easy to find anyone. And now one of the biggest pillars of our business is just constantly reminding people on social media, hey, I'm an agent and I love my job. Hey, I'm an agent and hooray for my clients. Hey, I'm an agent and look at me outside working and I love what I do. Hey, I'm a dad and I love my daughter and look how much fun we're having. And so that is my drip campaign, is just adding anybody and everybody I know on social media and then just constantly reminding every day. You just want to be top of mind. So when Wilson says, hey, I got a real estate question. I see Taylor. It looks like he sells a home every single day. I'll call Taylor. Right? And so it's just that top of mind thing. So that's exactly how I built my business.
I think that there gives a lot of insight from, your 4 pillars, but even tangible things that you're doing within those pillars to be able to be top of mind or to drive people to ask you a question, even if it starts there. So I love that.
Yeah, if any agent is watching this, literally just go to my Facebook, add me as a friend, and then just copy what I do, like copy my posts. I try to sprinkle in like, this is who I am, so you can see what I value most in my personality. So it's a lot of me being active and me spending time with my wife and my daughter. That's my favorite thing to do. And then it's also hey, reminding them like, hey, I do my business at a high level and it's not about me. It's about celebrating my clients. And so just mixing those in, people see who I am and that I am a professional. And that's Really, that's just been such a pivotal part of building my business. And in the past 5 years, I've been able to help over 400 families find homes. And then once you get that snowball rolling, then it's just reminding your clients that like, hey, I know I helped you buy a house 3 years ago, but I still appreciate you. You're part of my fam now. Like I want to like be happy and celebrate with you on the wins. And when I see that, oh, a client had a baby on social media, it's like, hey, I just sent a client a baby gift this morning, or had my assistant help with that. So then there's touch points and systems you can wrap around all of that to do a good job with staying in touch with your past clients more effectively.
Love that. And, on what you just said, a lot of people don't find it natural to share about themselves, their personal lives, their families on social, but clearly you're sharing that it's an advantage for you to show people who you truly are. Any words of wisdom there to help people get started if they're uncomfortable in front of a camera or posting about themselves?
Yeah, I'd say two takeaways. One is it's a muscle. You just got to work it out, and it's gonna feel awkward at first, but just do it. That goes the same for posting photos on social media, to then also getting in front of the camera and practicing being on camera. I've done a lot of video stuff, and that's why I feel really very comfortable in this type of medium. And then the second thing is just don't overthink it. You're probably like, what am I going to caption this? What do I do? I'm sorry to break it to you, but no one reads it. No one cares. No one takes the time to read what you write. You just want it. So as they're scrolling at the speed of light, they see a little flash and they say like, oh, okay, sweet. And then they keep going. You just want to be a part of that split second that they see you, or that 3 seconds that they pause and they're like, oh my gosh, like Taylor's daughter is the cutest. She is. Like, oh my gosh, she's cute. And then they keep going. You just want to stay top of mind with people, because for most people, their brain only has the space to remember 2 items in any given category. So if I say, name 2 shampoos, you could probably rattle off 2 companies, but pause on the third. So for real estate agents, most markets probably has that obnoxious agent that is on every billboard. They occupy space number 1. So you're battling for that space number 2. And so you just want to be that top of mind, constantly staying in front of people. So just to reiterate, you got to practice it. Just get started. And 2, who cares what you post? Just go outside your house and take a picture in front of your house with a thumbs up. Out showing houses today. There you go.
You're memorable for that, by the way. So it works, even though I'm not in your market, but I do see this when I scroll, I do see you. So
the thumbs up. Yeah, the thumbs up smiles. I mean, it's just, and then you just got to have fun with it and make fun of yourself, right? People, yeah. You just don't take yourself too seriously. That's honestly the thing.
And I think the key is also feeling comfortable to make fun of yourself, or, knowing yourself enough to be able to do so. So I really appreciate that. I think that's going to be helpful for people. What excites you most about this upcoming year, or, as you go through your team building, and even your own production?
I'll talk to a couple of those things. So personally, I've just been super thankful again to have awesome business owner agents in my life that I've met through GoBundance. So you being a big part of that, Wilson. I feel like any question that I have, like, how do I do this? You're like, I already have a standard operating procedures PDF. It's in your email already. It's just super helpful. So being around people that you trust, that are willing to share, and that are challenging you to be better, I am always really excited to continue to grow. I'd say also for the team, I just love seeing the agents on my team grow and have their lives radically changed by building successful businesses. I mean, making life-changing money, being able to be impact players in their community. And it's one of my biggest goals to encourage the agents on my team. Like, yes, I'll show you how to build a business. But how do I encourage you to be the best husband you can be, the best dad you can be, just super healthy and fit, and yes, you sell real estate, which is awesome, but like, how can you just be an awesome person, father, husband, involved in your faith community, just all like just an all encompassing, just super player. I love that, and I love seeing that from guys on our team. And then I'd say really the most biggest thing is we have baby number 2 due in June, so the chaos is about to crank up, and I am so pumped.
Love that. I appreciate it. Congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
Appreciate you sharing that. What's the best way people can find you? And any last words of wisdom for people?
Yeah, I would say I'm most active on Facebook. So just first name, last name, Taylor Doolittle. I've got a headshot as my profile picture. It'll be pretty easy to find me. I'd say that's probably the best way. I'm not super active on Instagram, but you could find me on there as well, just Taylor.Doolittle. And then really, I'd say the last piece of advice, and you kind of hinted on it earlier, Wilson, is you're going to wake up tomorrow and the day is going to be the way it's going to be. The market's going to be the way the market's going to be. And you have one choice, and it's the attitude that you have going into the day and the decision to take action on that day. So if you get up and you just have a bad attitude and the market, and you spend time consuming negative media, the day's still going to be what it's going to be. You're just going to make it a bad day because your mindset's horrible. Whereas if you go into it with an abundance mindset, with joy, with gratitude, focusing on everything that you've gained, not on the gap in between where you are and where you think you should be, then man, you're going to have the ability and the energy just to take the action necessary to build the business that you want to build.
Really appreciate that insight. And I'm sure people will find a lot of things to write down in your conversation with me. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Taylor, for doing this.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, honestly, if anyone wants to reach out, happy to chat on Facebook or jump on a 10-minute call and just encourage people or point them in the right direction. But again, I don't have any secrets. I kind of gave it to you all. You just got to figure out your goals and work backwards to figure out what action you need to put in place to get you to those goals.
That's it right there. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Wilson.